And here's a second wave of commentary. Just added some of the commentary that I usually do on my movies like Mariachi and Desperado, where I give them more in-depth detail about how we shoot some of these things for those really interested in this kind of stuff. So we go with Earl McGraw, played by, of course, Michael Parks, who, me being from Texas, he's just like the perfect Texan. Really captures the whole kind of laid back. It was just really wonderful seeing him take after take do this bit. I mean, he was so real. I know when I was shooting, I hadn't worked with him before, and I wanted to see how he was, so I actually started on Pete, who John Hawkes, have you seen Road Racers, a movie I made back in '94. He was a star of Road Racers. I started on him, reversed over, I'd started with the over-the-shoulder of Pete, and Michael was doing so well, I thought, oh man, I wish I'd started on Michael, I don't want to burn him out before we get to him, but Michael's great. He just kept giving a great performance all the way through. By the time we did turn around on him, he was really ready for it. This is more shot in a Quentin Tarantino style. Such a long dialogue scene, and we stretched it out even more when Michael really to give it the spaces and just the breadth of just being laid back and not an action movie at all. I wanted it to seem like the whole movie was just going to be about him taking his time drinking. I wanted it to really slow down. So what was originally like a six-page opening turned into an 11-minute opening sequence, because this is about 4 minutes right here, just them talking before George Clooney even steps out. What I'm doing, I always operate the camera on all of my movies, because I really want to not be watching a video monitor, which isn't a good way to watch compared to looking through the lens. You really see through the lens what you're going to see in the final project, because it's stopped down, it's at the right filters are on it, and you really see what you're going to see in the end product on the movie screen. By operating your own camera, and what I'm operating is a zoom lens, which I did a lot of in this movie, which I hadn't really done in my other pictures, with a motorized zoom. And every once in a while, every take is different, because I operate each take differently depending on how the mood of the scene is going. I'll start zooming in or repositioning the camera. So a lot of these shots, I didn't shoot like a master wide of Michael and then a close-up, and then I'm actually changing the composition throughout the take. So all this that you're seeing is really all of take 9. I zoomed in and I cut away. That's why I cut away to Pete, is because I repositioned during the shot. And then I started doing slow zooms, and it really helps me take advantage of a full take. Because I know by the end of this sequence anyway, I'm not going to be using a wide shot. So rather than shoot a wide of the whole performance, or worse, with someone like Michael, cut halfway through and not let him finish the scene after doing my wide, I just start changing my lens sizes during the shot by zooming in. And sometimes I keep the zoom movement in, like right there you saw me zooming in. And I kept the movement in because I did a slow zoom, because I thought it was just helps draw you into him. He's such a great actor, and he's really drawing you in with his speech. I wanted to help that with the camera movement. And that was the only take I did that on. Like I say, I do each one differently. And that's what's great about operating. You couldn't communicate that to a camera operator if you were directing behind the monitor. I mean, you might not do it at the right speed. You might not do it at what you're really feeling. So that's why I find it really important to operate my own camera, and even in this case, my own Steadicam. Because I really saw this shot. As you see, my Steadicam's not that steady, which helps lend a little bit of urgency to it. It's not too smooth and not too perfect, which is fine. This is like the 6th take of that, because I keep screwing up. All those were Steadicam shots. To introduce George, I really wanted to sweep over to him and kind of create a real creepy atmosphere that the script kind of had, but I wanted to make even bigger. Now, Quentin hadn't figured out what he wanted to do as an actor with this scene yet. He didn't want to do the same kind of traditional sweating it out, being real nervous with a girl. And so I just shot all the Georgia stuff first and let Quentin kind of figure out what his bit was going to be. And then by the 10th take of all of this, he figured it out. Also, we wanted him to kind of lay back and kind of be in the background. So I had him just come in and whisper in George's ear and then step back out. And let George really be the commanding force in the scene and set the stage for the movie. We actually shot the scene last, one of the last things we shot, which is good, because by then they were already the Gecko brothers. They were already in sync. And we knew that if we wanted to start off with them in this movie, we wanted to show what they were like, and show that they were already a team. And they'd already had the whole movie. That's something Quentin came up with by just pacing around while I was shooting George, figuring out what his move was going to be. He just kind of came up with that on the take by shoving her down, putting the gun to her head, just to show the really cold-blooded killer that he is. Giving George lots of hero shots. I kept telling George I wanted to make him a movie star after this. There's a lot of TV actors who go and try to make it in the movies, and they don't. So if anything, you're going to look great and you're going to sound great. We're going to have you always looking into the camera. Because one thing I noticed in ER is he always had his head down, and it's television shot always kind of far away. And you couldn't really see him that well. I never really got a real sense of what he was like on ER. And I wanted him to really feel different in this movie. Here's a steady cam again for this shot. So I put a lot of 65 millimeters on him and really had him look almost right into the camera. He never gets to look at the other actors. He's always looking at a piece of tape that I've taped inside the matte box so that he always looks like he's looking into the audience and down at the audience. I'm always below him. I'm sitting on a chair, aimed up, handheld at him, so that he kept getting reviews saying that he was very powerful on the screen because the audience is down on their knees basically looking up at him as he has a gun pointed at their head. So it helped really lend a sense of power to him that I think helped him nail things like Batman and stuff.
You fucking liar! I didn't say
John
shut
was
up!
great. I wanted a real wiry, kind of hyper attitude for this character because he could be played a lot of ways. He was kind of written to be just really laid back, Tex, and I really wanted him to be laid back. And then at the part where you realize he'd been acting the whole time, to be really nervous and really freaked out, yet be a real force against these guys. I mean, he is a Texan. He's going to have a gun behind the safe, and he's going to come up blasting. Even though if he just sat quietly, they would have left a few seconds later. He's pissed that he got shot, so he's going to start blowing. And John's just great at that kind of stuff. This is ad-lib stuff between George and Quentin. I just had them keep talking and rambling so I could cut back and forth too, and build a sequence of John coming up with a gun. Oh no, we're getting built. It was a small play. We have all these things exploding behind George. I said, here's some hero shots for you. Just start yelling and screaming and shooting, and you'll look really cool.
Richie! Yeah!
These guys, this is a very small place. They're actually in the same aisle. Quentin, if he were just to look to his left, and George would just to look to his right, they would see each other. This is just a small place, and we just wanted to make it look like they're across the different aisles. I had them look around and not know where the voices were coming from.
Richie! Yeah! When I count to three.
Just a lot of zoom. You see a lot of zooming. I'm repositioning a lot with a camera on him, zooming into things to really create the heightened sense of energy going like there, zooming in on as he was doing. I'm just zooming back and forth, and I just cut in the bits and pieces that I like while I'm editing. People ask me what editing system I use. I tell them I use the Cuisinart, and I just chop everything up.
Hey, we're lit. Here we go.
Good. One more.
Here's a great fire gag, and we'll introduce him again later, but here's Greg Nicotero to help talk about our makeup effects guy. How you doing, Greg?
Very well. We actually did two different gags for this. We took a cast of the actor's head and we made a stunt mask that the stunt guy wore in case you'd actually see his face in the flames screaming. And then we made a dummy. We wanted to do that sort of an homage to a shot in The Thing where the guy's laying on the ground kicking. That was actually a dummy.
Now, who's back there behind him?
Gino's back there. Gino and I think
is it Norman? Wayne?
Norman and Wayne. Was back there actually puppeteering and kicking the legs. Because there's something really effective about actually seeing the legs kicking and moving. It's not just a dummy
and the fire's still going.
Fire.
You're like, wow, that guy, the MPAA had the most trouble with that, actually, than even the stuff in the second half, because he was kicking. This scene, this was a one-take deal that I thought, this will be my big shot. I'm always cutting everything up. I want to do this in one take, pull back with the actors, and blow the whole building up. It'll be one take, and it's the last thing we'll shoot. I ended up having to do it 3 times because the Steadicam has a remote control focusing unit, and something happened where it just went haywire. The first assistant said it just on its own whipped over out of focus completely just for a beat and then whipped back again, which was good because I may just have to reshoot it, which I wanted to do because the first take didn't come out so good. We had to shoot so late in the day, the sun was already on the other side, and it didn't look that good. So we shot it 2 more times just for safety. It ended up being the 3rd take that we ended up using. Upcoming is a credit sequence now. We're out already on location. By now we'd already finished shooting all the horror stuff. We'd actually started with the bar. Well, we started with a scene where in the hotel with George Clooney and the hostage and Quentin. That was the first week of shooting, was them with a hostage and then them taking over the family in the hotel. And then we went straight into bar stuff for about 5 weeks. We were in that bar for 5 weeks. And then we came out here and started shooting all the exterior stuff of them running around Texas. So I don't think you were with us on this time for this shoot. You just sent me a hand
Yeah, I think you
Quentin's
said,
hand.
I need a hand with
You need
a
a
hole
hand
in
with
it."
a hole in it. So I'm sitting passenger seat with a camera, filming George, and I'm holding up the hand there and holding it up to the lens. And this is just a mount that we have outside. But for all the shots of George, I'm sitting in the passenger seat with him and just hanging out with George.
It was funny. I was surprised at what a great reaction that shot got.
Yeah, that's a great
Looking for
reaction.
the
Looking through the hand, and then right then there's your credit for K&B Effects. Right then, so I kind of timed it out so that you guys would be there. In fact, I changed the order of a few names contractually so that you guys would be right there.
You'd be like fake hand K&B.
And then this is a fun little Superman effect that Quinn and I talk about on the other track. And it's just great designing your own credit sequences and these kind of. I always love credit sequences. Those are the best part of the movie.